Hi, Lauren. Welcome to your spotlight.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. So,
Yay.
in order to start, I would love it if you just told everybody a little bit about who you are and where you live.
Definitely. So, my name is Lauren. I'm 30 years old. I'm originally Canadian. You'll probably be able to tell from the accent, it's pretty strong. I've been a teacher for the past 4 years. Um, the past two have actually been at an international school in Asia. So that's been really interesting. I have a passion for travel, and this year I actually quit my teaching job, and I'm now traveling for a year, partially due to the inspiration of finishing and completing this program with you.
Amazing. Yes. And we are
Yeah.
recording live from Melbourne, Australia.
Yes,
You are
I'm
live
currently in
from Melbourne.
Australia. Yes.
I am still in Canada here, holding down the fort for you. But yes,
Oh,
everyone will enjoy our Canadian accents.
yes, exactly.
So, tell everybody a little bit about what frustrations you had with your body before you started the program.
In all honesty, I had quite a few frustrations with my body, and it started at a pretty young age. I was trying to think, really, have I been happy with my body or even neutral with my body? And I really can't remember a time when I was. Since a little girl, about grade four, I became aware that I wasn't an acceptable body size, based on kind of society and other pressures and expectations. And so ever since I was a little girl, I was really unhappy with my body. If it was my stomach or, my weight or my hair, anything like that. It was just a mixture of everything, up until this year. And I'm 30 years old. So it's been over 20 years, I think, of body unhappiness. So,
Hmm. And you
yeah.
were you were in the whole dieting game too. Like you were pretty invested in that. I know we've talked about that obviously privately, but do you want to just talk about what
Yes.
your relationship with food was like as well?
Yeah, so in my youth and I guess my teenage years, it was a lot of binge eating. I was really unhappy, and I think I was just, I was wanting to look a certain way, and my body just wasn't that way. So when I got to university, when I was about 18, 19, 20, that's when I started to really trickle into dieting and more so disordered eating, I would say now. So I severely would restrict what I ate, and then I would compulsively exercise. And I lost quite a bit of weight. And, the compliments started coming in, and I started getting more attention. And I was feeling really good, but I was starving myself, and I wasn't the shape that I should have been. So, what ended up happening is after, a year or two of being at a lower weight, I ended up gaining all the weight back because, my body wanted to get back to the healthy size. So, for the past 12 years, I've been going up and down quite a bit. So, I would restrict myself, get down to a smaller weight, and then unfortunately, well, fortunately, my body is healthy and it was trying to get me back to that healthy weight, but I wasn't happy with that weight. So it was up and down yo-yo dieting, disordered eating, for, the past decade, which is pretty exhausting.
Yeah, what made you decide to be done with it?
A few things. So the first thing was, like I said, I've been a teacher. I've been working with junior high school students in specific, and I have a strong connection with my students. So I've been involved with a lot of different girls groups, and I led a girls group this year for junior high school girls. And I saw their struggles, at a young age, at 13, 14, 15 years old. And I was trying to encourage them to accept their body and love their body. And I felt really kind of hypocritical because, in all honesty, I was thinking, wait a sec, I don't feel this way about my body. I'm 30
Hmm.
years old, and I need to change something. So in the end, it was, that kind of was one of the catalysts, but also for me, I was sick and tired of it. I was constantly obsessing over my weight, over my body, how I looked, what other people thought. And I was so sick and tired of it. And I realized I'm putting so much time and energy into this, and I'm capable of so much more. Like there's so
Hmm.
much more to life. And I just wasn't yeah, I wasn't living it, right?
Yeah.
So I was ready for a change.
Good. Nice. Well, I knew that when you came in, and you really dove right into it, which is always really great to see. So, why don't you talk about some of the things that really helped you along the way, or some of the experiences that you had that you felt really benefited you?
Yeah, so there's a few. The overall, I love the program. It was great, and yeah, I definitely just did dive right in. I was more than ready.
Mm-hmm.
The few things that I have written down here that really kind of stood out to me was first the naming of that negative self-talk or that voice.
Yeah.
So you call it like our doppelganger,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I actually named it. And in the past, whenever I heard that negative self-talk, or I, changed 1,000 times or checked my hair or my makeup before leaving the house, I would just try to suppress it and I would get really angry with myself. But you taught us to name it, and I named mine my childhood nickname. And
Yeah.
I thought of her as a child, like when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I had a dialogue with her. And I gave myself kind of some self compassion. And instead of shaming her, I worked with her. And that
Yeah.
was so instrumental and huge for me. The other things were the coaching calls. I really enjoyed those. So talking to you and letting out these thoughts that I've been having my whole life that I had never let out to anyone else.
Yeah.
And you just giving the feedback and also hearing the other women's stories
Mm-hmm.
and being able to relate to them, right? That was amazing. And then the support of the other women and you in the Facebook group is so awesome. Like if you're having a challenge or a really good day or a struggle, or if you want to post pictures or just like you want some opinions or news, you can post it in the group. And then the women are all there to support each other. It's such a supportive community and you feel so encouraged. You feel like you belong and you're connected with this powerful group of women, which is absolutely amazing. So I think those three things specifically stood out for me.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. I remember you making space for those, like for the negative self-talk, like just really exploring like where did this come from? Like what part,
Oh yeah.
what part of me does this really come from, and like what does she need, and opening yourself up to that. And I think that that's like, yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to witness. So I feel really grateful that I get to, just kind of be the one to guide you, and then you take it and see how powerful that can be. And yeah, I mean the group is amazing. Like this time around, again, as always, it's just like this incredible
Hmm.
group, and you guys support each other so well.
It's so supportive and like it's amazing to me how, on the internet, I would have never thought, like I've told this to you before, I would have never thought in all my life that I would be in this group of women that I've met over the internet. And it's just, I feel like just so connected with them and they're so empowering. And I mean, you know this, but I met one recently
Yeah.
and it was just so awesome. Like it's somebody in your corner supporting you and just you're able to have these intense talks with each other. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and that was Rob. I don't think she would mind. She's been on the spotlight too, so people who like remember from the last time we did a round of episodes like this back in March, it was Rob and from Australia. So I was
Mhm.
so happy. That was like the greatest thing I've ever seen, was the picture of you two together. I just thought that was like the most rewarding, one of the most rewarding
Oh.
things that I've witnessed in my career as a coach. So
Oh.
it
Well,
was
it's
just
all
so
because of you,
special.
honestly. Oh, it's was amazing, honestly.
Yeah.
And I just yeah, the just we understand each other. We get each other.
Hmm.
And, I think if all women did things like this, it would be so powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So what are some of the specific things that you notice in yourself now that are different since you've done
Well,
this work?
yeah, so quite a bit of things. So I'm definitely on the pathway to feeling so much more liberated with my body, but just more internally too. Like I don't really care what people think, or if I don't want to do something, or if I don't want to wear something, I just don't, Like last night I was out for dinner with some people and I wanted to leave after dinner and they were all kind of doing something and it's like I want to go. Like I don't need to stay. I just feel like I can be more free and I'm I'm more positive about my body, but I'm just kind of learning to be neutral with it and more comfortable with it. It's not that I'm like, oh, I love it all the time, but I just feel more comfortable. Those are really important. And I think too, just continuing to be, I always have been independent, but I think this has given me more encouragement too to continue my independence. Just a lot of people I know, in my age have been getting married back home and all of that kind of stuff. And I've been like, oh, I need to do that. I need to settle down. But now I'm like, no, I can do whatever I want. I still want to travel. I still want to, be adventurous and do these things. So why not do it while I can? So it's kind of given me the power to continue on this path that's maybe unconventional.
Yeah, I remember we had a discussion around that because you were contemplating coming back, or if I correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's what I'm remembering, right? But I
Yes.
remember we talked about this and how like the independence and the adventure was just such a part of you and really a part
Hmm.
of your values, and so continuing to keep honoring those by taking this time to travel was going to be a more fulfilling experience for you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard because I think a lot of us are perfectionists and we want to um, do what kind of society is telling us to do, and we want to fit in that mold and be, everything that our families want us to be and our friends and society, but it's hard going against the grain.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that I should be, but it was difficult. And I think really the program gave me that encouragement and support to do that.
Mm-hmm. Were there any highlight moments for you that stood out? Like, I remember when you posted the photo of you in the group and
Yeah.
do you remember that?
Yes, yeah. I totally forgot about that one, but that one's a really good one. Um, no,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So that was a really good one. So, yeah, I was doing a really cool project in Lao, with some teachers and some kids at a lower socioeconomic status. And I remember the day was so amazing. It was one of the most amazing travel stories slash just personal stories that I've ever kind of encountered. It was really moving and touching, and I was so connected with the community. And I remember just loving the day and then looking at the pictures afterwards and being like, whoa, look, you know, I felt I looked a certain way. And it was almost like that moment, I just like ripped it up away from myself. Everything that I had in that moment, I just took away, because I felt I looked a certain way.
Yeah.
And looking back, I'm like, wow, it's just so powerful. So what I did was you encouraged me to post the pictures, also put one as a profile picture. And now I almost am like, yeah, I'm re-owning that experience and I'm not going to take anything away from that experience because that was so valuable to me and I loved it. And just because I perceived I was looking a certain way, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. It's not about how I looked, it's about how I was feeling in the moment, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like owning that and
Yeah.
getting over that. Like, I posted the pictures and I looked sweaty, I looked glowing, I looked happy, I was surrounded by amazing colleagues and in this awesome location. And I wasn't about to let a picture of my perceived, this diet mentality or this societal expectation take away all of that from me in that moment. And with you guys, the women and you encouraging me along the way, I just reclaimed that moment, right? And now I remember it for what it was. It
Yeah.
was amazing. And yeah, I'll never forget it. And it's so ridiculous letting a picture have that control over you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not. I mean, yeah, it feels that way, but it's not.
Hmm.
In the moment, it's like it is. It really like it. Sucks away our soul literally in that
Yes.
moment. But yeah, I mean, you worked through it and were able to reclaim it and then own it. And now, well, I mean, have you looked at the picture again to just like see like how do you feel about it now when you see it?
Oh, completely different. I think in that moment, like it almost like deflates initially when you see a picture of yourself sometimes. You're so hard on yourself. But then looking back, No, I don't think that what I thought in the moment at all. Now I look back and I'm like, it was an amazing experience. It was, you know, one of the top 10 experiences of my life. Like, I'm not going to let, yeah, I had to work through it, and it was definitely for the better.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. What were the other highlight moments for you? Because I just planted one. But
No,
you
that's
probably
totally
had some that
fine.
you had thought of.
No, you know what? In all honesty, when I was thinking about this, it was really just owning my body and not feeling obligated to fit into what I used to feel how I should act, how I should look. Like, just coming back to me and myself, and not, yeah, trying to impress anyone, just being myself, and that was really good. And just moving when I wanted to move, resting when I wanted to rest, playing, self-care, all of those like little things that I wasn't really doing for me, which doesn't seem maybe so revolutionary, but really is, I guess.
Yeah, it is the little things, and they make a big impact over time. So,
hmm
how did it feel to do all of those things?
For me, I have just a feeling of complete liberation. Um, and just I feel more authentic. I feel like I can be more vulnerable to myself, but also to other people. I'm more genuine, I think, to myself. And I think I really realized that I'm the most important piece of the puzzle. Like, it doesn't really matter what everyone else thinks. I mean, still I'm affected. I'm a work in progress,
Yeah,
but
totally.
overall it's me that's important, and coming home to myself that's important.
Nice. I love hearing that. That's so cool. And you mentioned when we first started that, like, this, you traveling, like you being in Melbourne, that
hmm
you felt like the work we did together influenced this path that you're on right now. Can you just elaborate
Yes.
a little bit on that?
Um, well, yeah, in all honesty, I just feel like I could have stayed probably in like a box of what I was supposed to do.
Hmm.
In all honesty, I had a really good job. I was making quite a bit of money. I could have stayed in, the profession I was in, and financially I would have been good. I would have looked good maybe on the outside, but on the inside, I think I would have been feeling really unfulfilled. And so I just needed to continue, or I felt like I needed to come back, be true to myself. And I felt like I needed to keep adventuring. So, I spent the past 6 weeks traveling in different countries in Asia, and now I'm in Australia, I'm in Melbourne, and I'm feeling way better, I think, about myself just being in this country. Instead of, if I think of even a year ago, if I would have come here, I wouldn't have been ready. Like, I feel like it all happened at the right spot, the right timing.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just feel good to be here. I feel like I think Melbourne's going to be a good place for me right now.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
well, what's a piece of advice that you have for others?
I think the biggest thing is that women or anyone who's listening, um, we're so much more than how we look, our weight, our size. I think that I've realized it's a huge waste of time, in all honesty, spending time worrying about those things. We're capable of so much more. Like, my passions, I'm still finding my passions because I feel like I've suppressed them for so long. But, we need to be involved with things that we love to do, right? Before I was obsessed with perfectionism, and I was never happy. I was never going to be happy. I was never slim enough. I was never pretty enough. I was never smart enough. But now I've realized I am amazing and I can do so many awesome things.
That's
Like,
so great to hear.
I started writing recently, and I'm really proud of the work that I've, written. Um, and, being an amazing city with all this culture and art, I can't wait to just dive in and just see what I'm capable of. I think that that's really important. Like, women and, again, anyone, men too, we're worth so much more. And I think it's also really important that we encourage and support each other. That's a big thing too. We really, really need to. Um, and I think it's important for us to be listening to our body, because I feel like it's the most revolutionary thing that we can really do. especially because we're living in such a patriarchal society. We need to break that down and just really be true to ourselves.
Yeah, nice. I love it. I love it. I can't
Yeah.
wait for you to listen back to that because it was really good.
Oh, good. I hope so.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else that you want to add before we close it out here? Anything else that you wanted to say that we didn't get to?
I think that is it. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, you did not tell me to say this, but I would so encourage, I would so encourage, I tell women about your program all the time
Oh, cool.
because it is honestly like I'm going to start to tear up. It was life-changing for me, and I just appreciate so much the work that you do.
I'm gonna start
And
to cheer
I'm,
up too because I have my
yeah,
period.
no, honestly, like we are capable of so much, and like, you're giving us the tools. We have the tools, but you're showing us what we're capable of. And it's so powerful. And if more women did this, I think that the world would be such an amazing place.
Thank
So thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. That was really kind of you.
Of course.
Well, I love you. You did
Oh,
so well because I know that we went to some hard places when we did this.
yes.
And there's a lot of like ups and downs through this process, and you really fought through it and um like advocated for yourself. Like you wanted this for yourself, even if that meant going through some uncomfortable spots or making
Yes.
some difficult decisions. And I think that, that just really speaks to your strength and your resiliency and your courage and your perseverance and like all of these amazing gifts that you bring to the world. And I love seeing you out, like just living all of your passions. Like just, I know we had a conversation earlier about you wanting to explore like the music and the art and all this
Hmm.
stuff in Melbourne. And I just think it's so cool. And if you do teach again, you're gonna make such an amazing mark on this. I know you did already, but it's just gonna be even more amplified now. So
Oh,
thank you, and thank you so much for doing this today. I really,
no
really
problem.
appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. It's my pleasure. Thanks so much, Summer.
Rock on.